Hello. Wow. How good's footy? Welcome everybody to the team's show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. Proudly powered by Mr. Cabinets. Woof. Just finished watching the Anzac Day game. That was unbelievable. What a game of football. And that just makes us so much more excited for round 7. And that's what we're here to talk about. Teams are going to drop in just over 20 minutes, and we'll be here just on time as the teams drop. So welcome. Who have we got here? Jonathan Terlato, Chow, Peter V, draw of the year. To be honest, that's the best result for a Carlton supporter. Watching the Blues, watching the Pies, I should say, and the Bombers. My blood's pumping. That's got me going. Hey, Kate. Palazzo, Fredo, 17. I do love seeing our rivals draw as well. Not going to lie. It's solid, but gosh, what a game. Hey, Maz. So, Joe, Chris Lang. Haven't seen your name pop up, mate. I like it. Welcome here to the teams. Hey, Brian. Jai. Terry Mastoros. Great name, mate. Australia wins. That's true. Both teams lose. Australia wins. Yeah. That was a fascinating game. Who wins the Anzac Day medal? That's what I want to know. Maz, I think you may have said draw on the Monday potentially, or on Footy Abroad. Can you just confirm that? What a game indeed. Yep, that's as good as footy gets right there. Hey, says Marco Palmisano, welcome to you. Hey, Kane. Always so awkward when no song plays. Yeah, that was us last year when we drew with Richmond. Do we feel like one of the teams lost that game? Nah, it was actually perfect. It was a very evenly balanced game, I thought. Maz, yes, you did tip it. Congratulations. There you go. Can you give us a tip for the round 7 game against the Cats? Because you're in form. You're officially in form. Hey, Robert. Glenn, you think Langford will win it? Oliver, hello. Yeah, Maz, I thought it was Monday. There you go. We need a tip. Maz, please enter your tip into the comments below. She's done it. Blues by 23. You've heard it here first, guys. Maz tipped the draw. She's also tipping the Blues by 23. So could be something in that. What up, Christian? How are you? Kate, you didn't see the game? It was a draw. Yeah. Johnny Holden, it was a great game, mate. Welcome to you. Hey, Cameron. Jay Baggers, hello. Unbranded, hello. Cameron, hello. Jay Mirabello. Malcolm, hello, mate. Shearsy is here. So crazy, bro. Yo, can you hear my TV, by the way? I've got that way too loud in there. Can anybody hear that in the background? Hammer James Rofe, I followed you for 5 years. Started when I was footy started in Vietnam when we had no hope. Mate, I do love rekindling with people who have been here from the very beginning. So thank you for being here. Good to see you. Another 1995 reference. Was there a draw? Yes. The last time the Bombers and the Pies drew an Anzac Day game was 1995. Kane, very good. I think that's deserving of a little. Yep, that is very good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't 1995 the first iteration of this Anzac Day clash between the Pies and the Bombers? Pretty sure it was. All City, Jimmy Flash. You called a draw on the jumper punch. There you go. Wow. There you go. 1995 reference. Let me just look that up. 1995 Anzac Day game. It was a draw. And Sav Rocker won the Anzac Day medal. I want to know what the scores were. I want to know what the actual scores were. Aris Damatakos is already on it. It was 17 goals, 9, 111 to 16 goals, 15, 111. There you go. There you go. Derek, hello to you. Guys, Derek is the third generation founder of Mr. Cabinets. I've got the Mr. Cabinets Instagram page in the live chat, pinned to the top of the live chat. So be sure to get around that on Instagram. Give them a follow. Didn't get a chance to go down to Mr. Cabinets this week and film, but we will do that next week. Fun fact, Mr. Cabinets does all the work for the block. So that's why we weren't able to do it this week. But good to have you here, Derek. Dominic Lodovici. There you go. Johnny, okay, great. It's just me. This software does a pretty good job. Well, my microphone does a pretty good job of blocking out background noise. So I will deal with it. There you go. Glenn, any chance for Moya or Bins? All right. Well, let's start talking about round 7. Yep, 1995. Let's start talking about round 7 because what's it going to be? We've got 16 minutes until teams are due. I've got Channel 7 on in the background in the living room, so I'll be able to hear if they announce the teams. But how do we see this playing out? How do we expect our teams to be announced? Do we expect any changes? There was, I think, a question mark over Jacob Wiedering, but he ran out the game, so you'd think he'd be okay. And then I think there was a question mark over Zach Williams because he got the knock to the Achilles. And yeah, Jimmy, I'm glad you noticed. I definitely noticed that as well. It's been the most united the fan base has been for ages. Yeah, I agree. It's been no bickering on Twitter. It's been good. And hopefully we can consolidate that with a win. Just keep pushing and sticking together. I don't know if we'll quite get 93,000 at the MCG on Saturday, but I hope we get I hope there's a 7 in front of the attendance. I hope we can get 75 to 77,000 people there. So, yep. Anthony Ioannidis, Williams was training, looking at the pictures. Yeah, that's always a nice tell. You know what I looked at this week? I looked at the write-up that they did on Tuesday about Ashton Moyer, who had the 7 tackles last week, kicked a couple of goals. So I always thought, okay, maybe that's a little tell for later in the week. And then they posted the Jackson Binns article yesterday from memory. So that might tell us that one of the two could be making their debut at the MCG, which would be massive. Yep. Saw the training footage on Instagram. Peter V, you think Binns in, Fantasia out? That could work. That could work. Glenn, you think Williams would come out? Who do you think would come in if that's the case? Palazzo Fredo, I think I'm with you. I don't mind. I want to see Beans and Moya, but I think Cincotta is a good in. They've got some dangerous smalls, the Cats. I think of Brad Close, Brian Myers, Tyson Stengel. There's a lot of them. So I wouldn't mind to see Cincotta, particularly if Zach Williams doesn't play. So, yeah. Weeders, Williams, and Cunningham looked good. I think Cunningham's ready to play as of next week. So, Kane, Weeder said on radio he thought he'd be right. So fingers crossed. All right. Maz, 75,000. Palazzo, they said it's 83,000 minimum. Where do they say that? I don't think I've seen that. Isn't this a matchup? Vossi and Scotty. Yeah. Shane Matthews, they say things happen in threes. Carlton has the best start to the season since 95. Last Anzac Day draw was 95. So that's 2 out of 3. And the third is the cup coming home. Man, I hope you're right. Floyd, you can hear my TV? Give me a minute. Give me 15 seconds. Is that better? Should be. All right. Yes, yes. Only level 4 in general admission tickets. Yeah, it's a Geelong home game. I've got level 4 this week up the top, so I'll be able to see the whole atmosphere. Always a different perspective to look at it. Let's have a look. Jimmy Faz Chincotta is the perfect sub, in my opinion. He can play anywhere. That's true. John Holden, if we can produce something like today's game, good battle, lots of skill on display, just different results. Yeah. That's probably the one thing I think we can generate that the Cats, that's one of the areas I think we can beat the Cats. I think it's such an evenly matched game. Their skill is their strength, their fundamentals, and the way they use the ball, particularly the way they enter the ball inside 50 is a strength, and the way they work for each other forward of center. But we play off energy, and I think our crowd, or the Carlton portion of the crowd, can generate a bit more energy than what the Geelong can. But I think that's not to say that Geelong can't generate energy. But yeah, let's have a look. It was on Insta. If you guys haven't seen it, I can get it up. I'll show you. Can I? I'll have to. Nah, I can't. It's got copyrighted music on it that I can't play on YouTube. So, Hammer, who's the better coach? Well, I mean, I think Scott has the runs on the board. He's got the flag, so I think you have to probably give it to him right now until Vossi gets his flag. Carlton cheer squad. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is. I think it's aisle 33. I don't want to be wrong on that. I need to make sure. Does anybody know where the cheer squad will be this week? I know it's M3 for home games, so I'm going to assume it's the other side of the G. Yeah. Let me check. Facebook.com cheer squad. Could have sworn somewhere I saw it was aisle 33. Anyway. Anyway, surely it's behind the goals, on one of the goals. M33. Is that for sure, Justin? I'm sure I saw it somewhere online this week. Okay, it is. There you go. Yeah, John, behind the pretty much. If it's not M3, it's the other goals, whatever aisle that is. Yeah. Kane, I am going to tip the Lions. I'm not going to change it last minute. I'm going to see how we go, but I am going to tip the Lions. So we will see. Palazzo. Plus, to add on to the game earlier, the Mackay legacy lives on v Collingwood. I tell you what, is that mark of the year? Should we just wrap it up? Because it's one of the best marks you'll see. That is the quintessential Specky. Damien, I'd like no changes. Some stability would be nice. Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with that. I don't think maybe Fantasia, potentially. I can see the merit in him not playing, but at the same time, he is an experienced senior footballer. And I think we're going to need that against Geelong. We're going to need as much of it as we can. So we'll just see. We're going to find out in 8 minutes. Skywalker was better. Skywalker's the best mark in the history of the game. It's a very controversial statement, and it didn't win Mark of the Year. That's how you know things are a bit corrupt. That's how you know things are not fair and equal, when Andrew Walker doesn't win Mark of the Year for that mark. It's unbelievable. Chera a chance? I think I saw, didn't they say he was a week away? I'm pretty sure. If I get the injury report up, I did see him in the training footage. Here, let me just share this up. pretty sure I saw Chera was a week. 1 minute. We've got availability 1 week. I'd be surprised if they were to announce him. Hey, Dione, hello. I'd be surprised if they were to announce him as 1 week away and then pick him. I mean, I'd love it, but at the same time, if he's a week away, bring him back for Collingwood next week. 6-day break as well. I don't know. Chera was a chance. Really? On radio? I did not hear that. I did not hear that. Johnny, it's the great mystery, mate. It's a great mystery. Just having a look at this injury list, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Those 8 names would definitely be playing if they were available. Jack, likely. Cunningham, likely. I think we've got some depth in his position. So I think we're going okay considering what's not there. When they are all available, it's going to be pretty scary. We can get them all playing 6, 7, 8 games in a row together, healthy, touch wood. Would I support OT for home and away draws? Do I want a result by any means? I think I like the draw in the season and then the extra time in finals, personally. What do you think? I think I like the way we do it now. I don't know if that's because it's traditional. We could always just add extra time and get a result. But I think I know in the moment it sucks if you are playing and your team plays in a draw. But it just creates the drama for the season. I like an imbalance in the ladder because you've got a team that's won half a game and that can either, go for them or against them. So, yeah, I think I support a draw during the season. Yeah. Dave Cunningham back this week. No, I don't think so. I don't think so from what we just saw, no? And even if he was, I feel like, yeah. So it says aiming to be a test to play next week. That was 2 days ago. I think even if he was available, would he be a guy that comes straight into the side? I'm not sure on that. 327. That dude started a gauntlet with a big group of mates. $10 entry, pick one winner each weekend, get it wrong and you get kicked out. Last man standing takes the chips, and I've gone all in on my baggers. This week? Interesting. Who do you think is the toughest team regardless of skill? Toughest team? I think we are it's line ball. I think it's us. I think we're a bit bigger and more mature in the midfield. Up forward, down back, pretty evenly matched. But yeah. So, Jai, you think finals only? Petra, you saw Buzz climb on Mossop's head in front of the Heatley stand. Jezza took so many huge grabs. Where does the Jezzalenko, I mean, I wasn't alive for him, but where does, where do his best marks compare to Andrew Walker's mark? Yeah, imagine the crowd. Well, particularly in a final, you get that. The Hoops, hey, the Hoops are in. The Hoops are going to be joining us, guys, at 6:30. We're going to do a combined 22. We're going to get a chance to do the combined 22. This will be tough because Geelong are undefeated and you've got to go on this year's form. And we've got a nice sample size to do that. So be ready. We're going to have the Hoops crew in tonight on the team show. And they are going to be here to do a combined 23. So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be some stiff players not to make the team. And I wonder how this negotiation will play out. Peter, finals only. I'm with you on that. Faz, I think I'm with you. Draws are good. I know it sucks when you're a part of them, but it's kind of good. Yeah. Well, the 2 points. Yeah. Josh, imagine Essendon don't make the finals because of this draw. Look, we'll just worry about us. But it would be quite funny. I hope they do make the finals for what it's worth. I hope Collingwood, Carlton, Essendon. Can Richmond make it? I'm just not sure. But I think the Bombers can. And I think it'd be good for footy if they did. And all of us did. And there was a matchup. Yeah, says. It's just awkward. It's so awkward. Alex, I think I'm with you. I think the pressure on Cunner's position in the team is there from Elijah. And Elijah's been hitting the scoreboard. Fun fact, it is Passover. So Chag Sameach to all our Jewish brothers and sisters. Elijah, this is when the Messiah was revealed back in the day in the story. So Elijah Hollands on Pesach back at the MCG at the home of football. There could be something in that. So there you go. All right, we've got a minute. We should have teams any minute. I can't hear my TV, so I'm definitely going to need your help with this. We should be hearing from Channel 7 on Twitter, on the TV, any second now. So we'll definitely need your help. Joseph did huge pack marks. He had better than the 1970 grand final one. Yeah, right. Fun fact. Kaney's related to the bloke who kicked it to Jezza for the U Beauty mark. Married in, but it counts. Mate, you take it where you can. C, Geelong overrated. Undefeated doesn't mean as much having played Hawks and North. Blues by 20. Hope so. I was on Big Footy, and I went on the Geelong forums this week just to get a sense of the opposition. They are so respectful. It's ridiculous. Michael Chettavolo. Very good. Very good. How do we get Boyd the ball more? I feel like with Sard out, we should be looking for him more. Mate, can you imagine Boyd having the ball 25 times in a game? The kind of damage he could do? I'm with you in here. More importantly, though, he's got to defend. I think this week you've got to defend first, particularly those smalls. All right, here we go. Teams are in. No changes. No changes. Is that the first time this season? I think it is. Wow. Let me get this one up. Let me share my screen. 1 minute. Wow. This is big. Not a single change to be seen. So, here is your team for Geelong. Lockie Cowan, Lewis Young, Brody Kemp, Zach Williams, Jacob Wiedering, Nick Newman, Ollie Hollands, Patrick Cripps, Blake Acres, half forwards Elijah Hollands, Tom De Koning, Matthew Cottrell, forwards Owies, Mackay, Kerno. You've got Pitto with Walsh and Hewitt as your followers. Then you've got Boyd, Carroll, Durden, Fantasia, and Matt Kennedy. Emergencies are Binns, Chincotta, and Durden. From memory, we had Hudson O'Keefe from memory in the emergencies last week. But nonetheless, good to see Sam Durden appear after serving one of the most mysterious suspensions that I've ever seen. I didn't even know he was suspended. Wow. Guthrie's back. Let's get the teams. Let's get them. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the teams. 1 minute. Where are we? Click here to see the teams. Have they loaded? That's the question. They have loaded. All right. Oh, they brought in the big guns, the Cats. So, for Geelong, they have brought back Tui, Stanley, and Guthrie. That's massive. I thought, last week I could have sworn they said it was 1 to 2 weeks away. Tom Stewart is injured. Conway is omitted. That's the big boy. Jai Clark, young midfielder, omitted. Sam de Koning plays his 50th game. There you go. Interesting. So for us on the AFL website, that's where this is from. You see Orazio is the last named player on the bench. For the Cats, it's Duncan. So I don't think you can read. I don't think they would put Duncan as the sub. But there you go. What are your thoughts? We're going to bring in the Hoops crew in about 5 minutes. We'll get the Carlton story in the chat first. What are you guys thinking about the team? Sam Durden named as emergency. Are we thinking Wieders could be laid out? Potentially. He could be. He could be. Orazio will kick 3. He's due. He's so due. Maybe he just needs an MCG game for it to click. Stephen Dunlop. Hey, mate. You hope Wieders isn't a laid out? I'd be surprised if Wiedering played out the game last week and didn't play this week because he's had a whole... When did we play? We played on Saturday, 4:35. So he's had 7 days to do all the recovery. I think he'll play. I think he's one of, I mean, they're all professional, but I think Wieders, you don't get the stature in the game that Wiedering has without being more of a professional than the regular player in the league. So it's a good shout there. We'd put Chincotta instead of Durden. No, I don't know. I'm biased. I think Corey's building. I think we're starting to see him hit the scoreboard. He also kicked that brilliant goal against the Cats last year. I think he should play. I don't think he's playing in a way that deserves to be omitted just yet. So there we go. What else? Guthrie will probably be a laid out. Nah. Well, you know what? We'll ask Geelong. We'll ask the Hoops crew when they come in. We'll ask them if the Cats play mind games. I really want to know what this Guthrie situation is on a whole because are they rushing him back for this game? Is he ready? Interesting. Kobe. Kennedy's the sub. Julie. I think Sam and Tom can play on each other. That would be nice. It'll happen at some point. For me, I like this. When we play the 2 rucks, and we obviously don't have Jack Silvani, we can play Tom as a forward. Tom needs to impact forward of center for it to work. But I think we have been missing a third target in the air. So provided that the 3 big boys don't get in each other's way, I do like it. For me, man, our smalls have got to get to the drop of the ball better than what they have been. And surely that would have been a focus for them this week. Because if we allow Geelong an easy exit out of our forward 50, they will punish us. They're so lethal. All right. We have the Hoops crew in. Wow. Stand by, guys. This is going to get juicy. Paul James.
How's things, mate?
Mate, things are good.
It's good to chat. It's been, 12 months since I think I bumped into you. I can't remember whether I had you on the show first or whether we were chatting at the AFL 23 launch event. I don't know what came first, but it's been a hot minute though.
It has been a hot minute. I think AFL 23 launch was pre-season, and I think round 2 would have been when we did it. Roughly around then, we did our chat. I don't remember what my sentiments were back then, but I think I'm a lot happier these days.
Yeah, I think there was still probably a slightly cynical edge to the conversation at the time about how the Blues are tracking, but very different these days, to your point.
Yeah, well, mate, there are remnants of 1995 happening.
Look, I poked some fun at that only a couple of days ago and copped it in the neck from a few Carlton supporters. So was all if any of those people happen to be watching right now, I was having a bit of fun. I haven't forgotten 1995, and you absolutely breached the salary cap, but I was having a laugh. I'm not too butthurt about it. People, move on.
Yeah, no, you're a big boy, and whatever you decide to say on this channel, you will reap the rewards or the consequences from the Blue or Broad community. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'll provide a dodgy social media handle now, just so that I don't cop any of it. But it's awesome to be aboard, mate. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. I need to ask Cam Guthrie straight off the bat: is that just Geelong playing some games? I thought he was 2 weeks away. Has he just gotten himself ahead of schedule? What's the story?
Yeah, look, I jumped into the back end of the call just as you made that discovery. So, the commentary kind of early in the week was that he was okay, but I thought that just Geelong doing what Geelong does. I thought that we might have just pumped the brakes on him for a little bit longer, just to a bit like Danger, where he'd done his hamstring, and okay, he could have come back for North, but and admittedly, I would argue the caliber of the opposition is significantly different. But I thought, okay, like Geelong's always been a bit conservative. We'll give him that one more week just to make sure he's cherry ripe and ready to go. But here we go. All the noise coming out of the club was that he was progressing very, very well, and so maybe this is still their conservative approach. But we'll wait and see, I guess, because, he apparently had an amazing preseason. I did see him. I popped down to Deakin one day and checked out training, and he was tearing it up. Everything was looking really, really good. And then the first 10 seconds of our very first preseason game, and bang, there he goes. So,
yeah, no, that was nasty. Wow, that has flown. I remember doing the review. I actually remember doing the fan cams straight after that practice match that evening, I should say. Has time flown for you as well now that the season started?
Mate, it's I guess like 3 and a 5-year-old means that there's never a dull moment, and there's never a quiet moment. So it feels like everything's moving at a million miles an hour, let alone the fact that I'm a teacher as well. So it keeps you pretty busy. But yeah, I can't believe that we're at, what are we now, round 7? Yeah, round 7 already. So close to a third of the way through it, plus finals. It's already getting really interesting. And I know obviously there's been commentary around Geelong's status as a 6-0 team and whether we do or don't deserve it. Reality is we've got 6-0 and we'll take it. And obviously it's really interesting to see what this draw between the Pies and the Bombers is kind of meant for Collingwood's pursuits of going back to back and finishing top 4. People are riding off Brisbane. There's all sorts of noise going on, and it's still only round 7. So it's been enough time, and it's gone fast enough that there's time for people to really pick apart things as they stand and start making some early calls. I don't know if I'm brave enough to make too many big calls yet, but we're getting close to that point.
Yeah. What's the Geelong sentiment for you? 6-0, going well, playing well, healthy, touch wood. Obviously, now Guthrie's back. You've got a pretty healthy list apart from probably Stewart's the only one missing.
And it's a concussion. So, not that you want to be too flippant about concussions. Obviously, we know the severity that they can be. But in terms of, games missed, yeah, it's probably one week and back at it again. So, look, I think for me personally, I'm trying not to get too carried away. We did have a lighter, softer start, and not to be too dismissive of some really quality teams that we played along the way, but we did kind of draw a bunch of teams who are either struggling or kind of finished in the bottom half of the ladder last year. So I don't want to get 6-0 is great. And obviously it's a great platform to kind of launch the back end of your season. We know that Geelong manages its players and all those sort of things. So I think that's going to be, I think that's going to be really, really valuable to have those wins on the board that you can afford to, give someone an extra week if you need to, or rest someone when required. You can already see them doing it with, Hawkins taking a week the other week. Reece Stanley's in and out like a yo-yo at the moment. He's 1 week on, 1 week off. It's a good position to be in, but I'm not going to get too carried away in terms of our premiership prospects just yet. Yeah.
See, that's the Geelong class that we're trying to aspire to have over here.
Look, I think I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a classy individual, because I can be a smug, arrogant POS on many, many occasions. But I guess maybe there's that luxury of kind of having the recent premierships and go, okay, we're happy, like we're more than content. So let's try and keep a cool head about it, I suppose. Yeah. There's no reason to get too carried away, because we've seen Geelong have seasons where they've not necessarily been firing at all cylinders early in the season, and then they came steaming home in 2022 and went undefeated for the rest of the season. So Yeah, pretty. I guess with a club like Geelong, I think it's a risk to make a call one way or the other on them. Things can go swimmingly. They can all fall apart very quickly as well. We've seen it go both ways. So
fair.
Fingers crossed.
I'm biased to Carlton, obviously. So, what is the perspective for you about Carlton? Are we going as good as what we think we might be, or like what's your perception of us?
I mean, look, I think the makeup of the team is really, really good. I think that, there's a great core that's going to give you every chance going into the year. I think it's more going to be about injury management, and obviously you guys have been hit with it. And again, there's a bit of a touch wood as a Geelong supporter here that you guys have been hit with it a bit worse than we have so far, and so you just hope that they might be smaller injuries in some cases, but you hope that doesn't kind of halt momentum and you don't kind of drop a couple games here or there that you may not have ordinarily, but because you're down on troops and people are a bit tired, people are maybe playing when they shouldn't be. I'm a little bit not concerned as a Geelong supporter, but curious, I guess, to see Jacob Weitering coming in there with a pretty bad corky that's surely not gone, but you probably need him to be out there to wrestle with Hawk. But does that come back to bite him? It's all those sort of things, not necessarily this week, but going long term. You worry about clubs when they're potentially carrying a few injuries and people are coming in and out, because momentum's a big thing too. Jeremy Cameron was the best player in the comp for the first 7 or 8 weeks last year. And then what was it? Was it the head knock initially?
Yep.
There was a shoulder, then eventually the head knock. And it was just, but none of them were big things. They were, maximum a week or two. But that would just halt momentum. You just start to see him come good, and then all of a sudden something else would happen. And none of them were major things. They weren't hamstrings. It was poorly managed. They were accidents. But it really curtails your momentum. For us, Mitch Duncan kind of emblemizes that the best. I've always felt like he's absolutely one of the cleanest players in the competition. But he can look pretty C grade at times if he's missed a couple of games and comes, like, if he has that on and off sort of thing. And so I just hope for Carlton's sake, as someone whose mum supports Carlton, I wouldn't object with seeing her finish the year happy in terms of football. I hope that they don't have too many of those on and off injuries, because I think that could be the one that really derails the season more than anything.
Yeah, interesting. Well, mate, top 4 footy at the MCG, Carlton, Geelong, 2 really, historically great clubs. So it should be a belter. And hopefully we can get, I've been saying throughout the week, hopefully there's a 7 next to the attendance this week.
Minimum.
I've been to a few Geelong Carlton games. We get 60, 62, 63. So I'm hoping we can get, 80, 85 would be unbelievable, but surely there's a good turnout this week.
Geelong supporters can be a fickle bunch when it comes to games in the city, simply due to the timing and a lot of them coming on V lines, and V line being a bit of a basket case at the best of times. It can be a bit of a challenge. I think we're 4:35, aren't we? 4:35. That slot, I think, opens up possibilities. Obviously, we know the AFL's trying to drive more at this kind of twilighty sort of time slot anyway. So to put 2 kind of top tier teams in that is good for them, and I think could be really good for the game. And I think, specifically for getting Geelong supporters to the game, could be really good as well, because the teams are firing. It's going to be certainly an intriguing match. I think both teams have every right to come in feeling confident they can get the 4 points. So then it's just a matter of, for Geelong supporters, logistics. And I think this is favourable for them.
Okay. Well, I hope so, because I want to see 85,000 gorillas screaming their heads off this week.
He's hoping it'd be really good, and then hopefully the match then kind of matches the crowd number.
Yeah. All right. Should we do a combined 22?
Let's do it.
Wow. Okay. Stand by. Let me get the teams out. All right. So basically what we'll do is we'll go line by line. We'll do defenders, midfielders, forwards. Then we'll do a bench, and then we'll pick a sub. We'll let you start off. Why don't you have a look? And those of you in the chat as well, please get involved and send through your back 6. Paul, good luck, mate.
Look, it's an interesting one. What I do appreciate about the Cats lineup this week is they haven't just kind of thrown the magnets around like they sometimes do when they list the teams. Sometimes I've seen Tom Hawkins being placed in the forward pocket, and I've seen Jeremy, and we've had some of the smallest blokes on the team playing centre half forward. So, I'm glad, at least for the sake of what we're doing right now, they've listed it in a fairly reasonable and kind of functional sort of way for us. But we want to start at, I guess, like in the deepest level of the back line. Do you want to start with like the full back and then kind of inside out?
I'm happy for you to pick 6, and then
Okay, we'll just go.
I'll go from there. I think. Look, also just to note, we're probably going to be getting creative with this one because when we get to the forward line, I think we're going to have 4 big boys.
Look, I was willing to fight to and see if we end up with 2, but I can do that too.
Okay.
We'll see how we go. That'll be interesting, that one.
Yep.
I guess if I'm mixing and matching both teams' defensive lines, I can't argue with Wiedering being in there for sure. He's an absolute gun, and I mean it's a weird one because I'm kind of imagining the 2 teams playing at each other, despite the fact that we're forging a best of the 2. But he's the sort of a player that can take that big brutish forward like a Tom Hawkins, or someone whose kind of strength is their physical presence rather than maybe their leading and speed. So I think he's a must. I'd argue the other key defender, and this might be the one that causes us some consternation between the two of us. I would be going Sam de Koning.
Over Lewis Young? I think,
over Lewis Young.
I won't fight too hard about that.
Okay.
I do love Lewis, but he's only played a couple of games this season, whereas de Koning's played every game. Is that right?
Yeah, he hasn't missed one so far, which is a nice up on last year, he was one of those, again, kind of up and down injury early in the season. I think he nearly got knocked into next week playing against you guys actually in the matching game last year. So there was no illegal act. I think he was seeing stars. And I think it actually might have been after that game where he ended up with his face mask.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's easy. So, we've got a fullback and a centre half back.
Cool. That's all right. So we're on the same page there. Given that we don't have to, we're only building it out of what's listed today. We can't talk about Tom Stewart, can we?
That's right. Yeah. No McGovern, no
Okay.
Sard. To be honest, the back line has been made a lot easier for us.
Yeah. So I guess then when I look at that, I think I'll kind of hone in more, I guess, on the Carlton defensive unit initially. I think there's a place for Nick Newman straight away.
Yep.
I don't know as much about Lockie Cowan yet. I know he's kind of relatively inexperienced, so and not the greatest student of everything that's going on at Carlton. I think there's I'm bouncing between both here. Max Holmes, I think, is a walk up. Zach Guthrie, I think, plays that Tom Stewart role exceptionally well, especially when Tom Stewart's out. So I think I could pick those 2. That's 3 out of the 4. And who
Max
would be the 4th? So Holmes, Guthrie, Newman were my first 3 there, and so then I guess it's between Kemp, Tui, Cole Jasny, and Henry. Or Lewis Young, sorry, as the remaining.
Yeah, so I think for sure Guthrie would be in there. Max Holmes, I love a bit of Max Holmes.
4 more years.
I don't think. Yeah, that's official now?
That's official. Great.
I don't think Lockie Cowan would make this team. He's only played a game this year, so he's a second-year player. So can definitely see that. I think I would be putting Newman in. Guthrie doesn't usually play in the back pocket, does he? Like, he's more of a half-back type guy.
I think it's very much a needs basis. I would probably consider him more of that back pocket, but then he's still, based on the way Geelong plays, they just swap in and out at any given time. He's a back pocket that will float up and play half back flank as well. So you could really, I think that, depending on the team we're trying to build, you could easily flip him one way or the other.
Okay. So we got Guthrie, Wiedering, Cole Jasny. Then we've got
his current form, and I guess I've been overly critical of him over the years. In his current form, though, Jake Cole Jasny, I think, is in the conversation, but wwhether he's actually a part of that team, though, is another thing. Zach Williams is obviously a gun. Cole Jasny, and I've been harsh in my thoughts of Collar over the years, and I was feeling pretty vindicated through the first 3 quarters of round 1. But he tore, when St Kilda got on a charge in that final quarter and nearly mowed us down, he was the one that stopped every thrust forward. And I think that's just done something incredible for his confidence. And he's been playing possessed in the last few weeks. He's not put a toe wrong. His disposal can be a bit wobbly at times, but he's not been missing targets either. I've been really, really impressed. Do I lobby for him based on a block of 5.5 games though, or 5.25 games? Yeah, it probably depends on, I guess, what else we're thinking. My gut says Zach Williams.
in their pocket. Where so if we had,
so I guess we go maybe Guthrie. I guess I think more Wiedering as the full back in this scenario. So
definitely.
Guthrie, Wiedering, and
Zach
maybe
Williams.
sorry, Guthrie. I'm looking between lists. Guthrie, Wiedering, Newman, maybe.
Okay, could do
Holmes, De Koning, and then we've got one other spot, and that's I'm on the side of Zach Williams, maybe knowing what he can be, but whether he's necessarily justified that up to this point, I don't know.
That would be a 3-3 split.
I could also make an argument for Jack Henry because he plays as a centre half back,
True.
but I think he's actually better suited often to the half back flank. I mean, we see a lot of footage from him. Actually, it feels like he's never actually playing on someone, despite the fact that he's dealing one of the two key forwards for any given team. He's always got space, and he's basically playing. That's what I mean about that kind of that Geelong way. Sometimes it's Guthrie, sometimes it's Stewart, sometimes it's Henry. I don't know how they do it, honestly, and I watch him a lot, but I feel like I might go Zach Williams personally.
All right. I like it. Guthrie, Wiedering, Newman, together with Zach Williams, Sam De Koning, and Max Holmes. That is a dynamite backline.
Yeah.
Let's make our way to the midfield. I guess we can do the center line here if we want to be, peculiar, or just the six mids. The one rule with the mids is we have to name a ruck. So one ruck and five midfielders. I think Cripps and Akers would just stay where they are. And I think on the other wing, O'Connor's been good. I'm a big fan of Mark O'Connor.
It depends on the sort of game you want to play because I could just as easily see O'Connor go to one of your mids this weekend, whether it's Cripps or Walsh. I feel like maybe more likely Walsh. But I mean, I don't know for one whether Geelong will in fact try and play that game on the weekend. The fact that they're listing him kind of through the centre line maybe is a tip of the hat. But I probably, in terms of the best and thinking about the lineups of both teams, I'd probably argue it'd be a stretch to keep him in the best six.
Would Mitch Duncan make his way on the wing?
Where have we got him listed? We got him listed on the interchange.
He's on the interchange bench, so we don't have to play them where they've been named exactly. But yeah. I think Mitch Duncan would make this team. Yeah, it doesn't matter where, just somehow.
I think that's the spot too.
What if we did a Mitch Duncan, Patrick Cripps, Blake Akers 3? And then
this will be, it's interesting here because now there's you've got a blanket of. I mean, there's the ruck, which obviously that's a very straightforward conversation here in terms of the ruck, not as in straightforward who the pick is, but that's clear cut. But then you've still got two spots for a bunch of guns because you've got Walsh to factor in, you've got Dangerfield, you've got Blitzarves. I'd argue Hewitt probably doesn't make that cut as good as he is when you think of just those other players that are still currently without a spot.
I think De Koning would be our ruck. Is that fair to say?
Is he? I'm blind. Am I blind? He's not listed in there, is he?
Yeah, he's named at full forward.
Oh yeah, there we go. Cool.
Thank you. So I think it would be De Koning. Hewitt's been arguably one of our most consistent players this year. Walsh has played 2 games, but it's just at such a high level. It's just he's got to be there, and then you got to get a cat in there. You're 6-0. Who's been your best midfielder?
I would want, if we're trying to build the best possible team, I would be picking of those available Blitzarves because it's just what he can do. Yeah.
True.
The versatility. Hell, you could. Okay. I mean, there's an argument that can be made. You go, actually, no Reece Stanley, no Mark Pitnade, no Tom De Koning. I'm going to put Blitzarves in the ruck.
Wow. I actually
there's an argument. I'm not necessarily saying it's the right one, but he obviously has played the position before, and where he doesn't win the ruck, he instantly becomes that extra midfielder who can, tag, he can defend, he can cut it, bring the game forward. Like, there's so much you can do with him.
I read something recently, not long ago. Is it true that Geelong have not had a player accumulate
no
over
one's
30?
no one's achieved over 30 disposals all season so far.
Wow.
And
That
that's
doesn't
and look, to
go to
the
show.
great credit of the Cats, that's really because we just rotate so many through the midfield.
Right.
It's I wish we obviously get the when it comes to all stats, we get the time on ground stat, but it'd be amazing to actually get a bit of a percentage forward versus percentage mid versus percentage defense, that sort of level of breakdown, because we obviously talk about Mitch Duncan. He's listed the interchange, but he'll go through the mid through the wing at different points. He'll go back to half back at different stages as well. Blitzarves will, is more probably one of those that would have a higher percentage game time in the midfield, but he's also not always been that high disposal getter anyway. He's never really been that. He's, kind of bank on him getting 20, some intercepts, some deep inside 50s, those sort of things, but he's never been your 30 plus disposal getter either. That Geelong does a great job of being incredibly efficient from these days, and it's a bit of a contrast to the days of Gary Ablett Jr., Bartel, Joel Corey, Cameron Ling, where they just rack it up and kill you.
Yeah.
Now we do a lot with not as much in terms of disposal time.
Right.
I'll make the argument for Blitzarves because Dangerfield's obviously missed a chunk of this season. Cam Guthrie's only coming in for his first. I feel
let's
a little bit
hard,
like we're being a smidge harsh on Tanner Bruin, but there's always a bench spot for him.
Yeah. Well, on Tanner, he's in my fantasy draft team. Why does he not play more than 65% game time? What's the story?
It's this rotation.
Yeah?
Yeah. They just because they do have so many that can go through the mid, they just roll them on through and everyone gets a rest, and then you can bank on him like that. I'm noticing a bit of a pattern with him in his third quarters specifically, where he goes kind of quiet through the third. And I think that's where he probably loses a bit of game time, and maybe it's okay, rest up, and then we're going to throw you back in the guts again for that last quarter, especially if it's a tight match. He'll come exploding out in that last quarter, and suddenly he's just getting on the end of everything again. I think that's part of their management plan with him. But not just management plan in terms of him and game time and looking after the body, but how we manage the game as well. That let's get the youthful body. We don't have a lot of them at the Cats. Get the youthful body out there. He's absolutely bash and crash, and he's clean with his disposal, but getting back out there and maximizing his game time at the most important stage of the game.
Right.
And yeah, as your sarcastic cow mentions in the comments here, none of the Geelong mids play over 75%. Like it's even last year's, we were kind of getting right to the pointy end, and were we or were we not going to make a run for the finals? I was going, okay, Danger, they've been playing him for like 70% all season. This is probably the moment where they uncage the beast to make this run at it, and they just kept him locked up. He was he's still getting his 20 disposals a game from 75% game time. So I think that has a big bearing as well on the inability for Geelong players at the moment to get more than 30. I think Jeremy Cameron's been the closest to come to it, and he got 27 a couple of weeks ago.
So Duncan, Cripps, Akers with DeConing, Walsh. I'm going to find it really hard to concede on George Hewitt, but we do have a bench. So I'm probably going to nominate him on the bench when we get there.
Okay.
And we'll put Blitzarves in there. So there's our midfield. Now the forward line.
This is I think one of the more interesting conversations.
Maybe if Blitzarves plays, we don't need four big boys in the forward line. So
see, everyone says Blitzarves can play everywhere. The one thing he's not done is play actually as a forward.
Yes.
He'll get you going the other way because he's so athletic and he can float in there and take those marks. And he'll outrun his opponent, get into a position where suddenly it looks like he's kind of a lead up forward, but he never really was. So yeah, I'd argue Blitzarves probably isn't a factor in that conversation. He's an additional threat.
I think
for sure.
I'm saying more so for because you can always put Harry in the ruck.
Small ratio.
We had this a few weeks ago with Brisbane where we didn't have Hipwood. We had Harry because Harry can pinch hit in the ruck. So from that point of view, we know Blitzarves can take the ruck if needed. But I mean, I think what we'll start with is Charlie and Jez Cameron. We'll just start there.
As in start by putting them on the field? Or are we going ahead?
Yeah.
Are we making a choice?
No. We have to have them both.
Yeah.
They are who they are. And then I think the conversation turns to, if we're going to do Harry and Tom Hawkins, I mean, we're talking about 2024. Obviously, Hawkins is the champion. And if we're doing careers, Hawkins gets the nod. But I think Harry would get the nod if we had to pick one of the two. We might not.
Yeah.
We might just have big boys in there.
Yeah, it might be a better one for us to kind of think a little bit about the smalls and what that makeup looks like, and then work out whether the final, well, whether we're going 3 or 4.
So I think Myers, Stengel have to be in there.
Yep. So there's 2 of your 4 smalls.
What's close? What's his year been like? I rate him a lot, but what's
underrated
his year been like?
season so far. But I think when we're trying to merge 2 forward lines together, he probably misses out.
Okay.
One that I think's very hard to overlook is Ollie Henry. Pies fans. Just because, I mean, he kicks reliably 2 a game at the moment, and just playing as that 3rd or 4th tall, and does it with ease. Sets up a few others. He continually slips under the radar. And one of these days, he's also going to take Mark of the Year over someone the way he's going. But you can say the same about Ollie Dempsey. And probably no one's going to beat Jamie Elliott today. But I don't know if you've seen that mark yet.
I have, yeah. I think Ollie Dempsey will. I was front and center for the Ollie Dempsey mark in preseason. I got a great video of it. And so I was made aware of him pretty early on. I like him a lot. But I think we've got sheesh.
Yeah, I think the conversation kind of, I suppose,
Henry
haven't
Myers
really looked too much at your smalls yet either, have we?
Well, I think I'm going to have to concede on Carlton smalls in this conversation.
Oh, is Cottrell Hollands all out?
Cottrell, I'm going to have him in on the bench because I think he's our version of Brad Close for you. He's that underrated guy. Cottrell runs, 14, 15 Ks. He plays on the wing when needed, goes forward, kicks goals now. He's just become which is remarkable because he was not a whipping boy, but he was just so far down the pecking order a few years ago. And he has just become such an integral part of the team. And really the link between mid and forward is he plays a really big part in that, particularly with your boy, Lockie Fogarty, out of the side, which we finally got one right from Geelong. So thank you for that.
What, Billy Smets wasn't a gun?
Oh, look, he had his moments or moment. So what if we did Myers, Cameron, and Henry with Stengel, Charlie Curnow,
and Harry.
And Harry.
I was thinking, maybe the compromise is that Ollie Henry comes in as that kind of 4th non-small forward, I suppose.
We have a bench. We
have Cameron Mackay, and Curnow alongside Close, Myers, Henry. Oh, sorry, Myers, Stengel, Henry.
Yes. Oh, okay.
We've made some hard calls so far. Says a lot about the game this weekend.
Wow, Cottrell's been so good. I love Elijah Hollands as well, but I can't. He's missed too much footy for this team. So with the bench, we will probably just go 1 for 1. I think that's the best way. So we're gonna have to save our 2. I mean, you might pick Carlton players. I might pick Geelong players, but I know that I'm definitely saving George Hewitt first. So I'll pick George Hewitt with the first slot on the interchange.
I'm mindful as we go of trying to create some sort of balance across the field at the same time. Got George Hewitt as a mid. I'm looking through kind of the starting 18 initially, and there's red flags with Dangerfield being unpicked so far, with Hawkins being unpicked so far, Tanner Bruin being unpicked so far. And I'm sure Brad Close again. We kind of had that conversation. I think he just misses in this instance. Bruin, Dangerfield, and Hawkins set off big alarm bells. I don't think I can justify Tom Hawkins on the bench as weird. as weird as it sounds with everything he's done, it doesn't make sense.
We could switch Tom Hawkins back onto the field and bring off one of those smaller boys.
Maybe Hawkins on and Henry onto the bench.
Okay, all right. So we'll do that. We've got 4 Coleman medalists in the forward line. What could go wrong?
They'll all get in each other's way.
Yeah. Well, you've got Cameron and Harry on either sort of just roaming either wing up the ground, taking marks. Then you've just got Charlie Curnow and Tom Hawkins, who loves a goal assist, right? Like
Hawkins, all the goals. Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say on the day that the Carlton players be the ones kicking the most goals because Hawkins will just dish them off. And to be fair, Cameron's learnt those ways too these days. So he might get 8 and dish off 5 himself.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got Hewitt, Ollie Henry on the bench. Oh, I can't not have Jordan Boyd. I mean, Cottrell, I have to find a way. Maybe we'll talk about him when it comes to the sub. But Jordan Boyd has been that good for Carlton. So I think I will go with Jordan Boyd as my next pick on the bench.
And so we've got one final spot.
One spot for 6 blokes. And a sub.
And the sub is in our little discussion here, I'm trying to think a bit strategically about how I can maybe put forward an effective sub for us.
How have we not mentioned Tom Atkins? Oh my God.
Well, yeah, I've not necessarily been the biggest proponent of the guy over the last 12 months or so, but Brandon Parfitt is playing like a man possessed as well so far this season. And I think he's going to be a real burn for us this weekend. Jack Bowes has been electric. Obviously, there's Ollie Dempsey. But, we are looking to your side and go, we haven't found a way to squeeze Matty Kennedy in yet, have we?
Unfortunately not. I have Hewitt, Boyd, and Cottrell as my priorities to find a way back into this side. But I think because the mid forwards, it's going to go the way of Geelong from the way I see it. I mean, Bruin, Bowes, Parfitt, Atkins. There's too many of them. So Cottrell,
I think
we'll get to him at the start.
I'm going to put forward Bruin. I was kind of looking at how I'd use. Now I've got ideas for the sub that I'm going to put past you shortly, but maybe it doesn't work for me. But right now I'm thinking Bruin over Atkins because of they're both brutes at the ball. But just that speed that Bruin has, and he's a bit cleaner with his disposal as well. Star,
mate. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got him.
So I'll put forward Tanner Bruin there. Okay.
Took Tanner Bruin in, I think it was like the 12th round of my fantasy draft. Couldn't believe he was still available. He's scoring well. Is there a way that he gets to like 80% game time eventually? Is that part of the plan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think absolutely. I think they'll not that he's a slim, trim player at the moment, but I think they'll look for that little bit more size so he can reliably take a bit more of the bashing and crashing before upping the minutes.
Well, you guys really manage
but they manage them so well.
Players, like the whole list, right? You have a real management program.
It's management first.
Interesting.
They're trying to get as much life out of the players, and that's everyone talks about retirement home, but that you haven't really seen anyone. I'd argue maybe Zach Tui's starting to show. But you look at most of those other older blokes, and they're not showing that they've lost their speed or their dash. We're not getting a giant cluster of injuries around them either, and if they are, they're not hamstrings or it's a collision based injury more than anything. So yeah, I think the management thing has served us well over the years.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about a sub. I will strongly start with Matt Cottrell. Who is he going up against? I'll make the argument that he can play so many positions up on the wing. He can cover down back, a great defensive runner, runs 2 ways, kicks goals, clutch. And yeah, he's the only other one that I think I've got to find a way to get into the side. So who's he up against?
Paddy Dangerfield. I felt like knowing everything else we're doing, I was like, okay, I can hold Danger for the sub here, and I think I can win this argument. So, I put forward Danger. Obviously, he can come and be explosive through the midfield. He'll go if you need him to play forward, like a Matty Cottrell does by default. Typically, I would take Dangerfield over Cottrell in a forward line scenario, I think, any day of the week. We've obviously seen what Danger's done to a few opponents over the years on one leg. With a couple.
Oh, don't worry. I've seen what Dangerfield done to some of the Carlton players over his time, mate. He's definitely landed on Mark Murphy's ankle, shattered his collarbone.
Oh yeah. And then there's that.
We're not massive fans of Dangerfield on this side. I'll tell you that much.
Look, I don't know. It's a whole. Yeah, a lot of people, will throw. But now I think there's some people who don't like kind of the theatrics and the fun and games sort of stuff that he does behind the scenes. I think there's a bit of tall poppy syndrome when it comes to the way some people treat him through that side. Yeah, and I know that's not what you were suggesting at all, but the on-field stuff, he only knows one way, which is 100% full speed at it. And I'm shocked, honestly, that he hasn't been pinged for more over the years. Not because there's malice or anything to it, but some of the collisions and some of the ways he lands on players, it's just dives for the ball, not dives on the ball with Sam Draper. But the way he dives at the ball and throws himself in front of players' legs at times, I honestly think he should have copped far more of those free kicks against him for the kind of not a trip, but the below contact below the knees. But more often than not, he seems to be the recipient of the free kick in those scenarios, and I've never objected, but I've never quite understood it. But yeah, I think Danger. I have seen one comment there about Danger's ability to kick, and I would be inclined to agree. He's bobbed up a couple key times for us lately and been kicked truly, but I think just the way he's able to deliver it across his entire career, but still has proven he's capable of now. I feel like gives him an edge here in a conversation against.
I will concede. I have to. I mean, it's Dangerfield. That's Patrick Dangerfield. Look, if Cottrell has gotten himself into a head-to-head conversation with Patrick Dangerfield, then that shows how far the young man has come. And maybe this time, you know what? Maybe when we play you later in the year, Cottrell
might be a different conversation.
It might be a different conversation, but I think Dangerfield's the fact that he is even spoken about as a sub Patrick Dangerfield, that tells me
how the caliber of everything else.
Yeah. So let's just recap here. We've got Zach Guthrie with Jacob Wiedering and Nick Newman in our backline, together with Zach Williams, Sam De Koning, and Max Holmes. Solid. Then we've got I was going to say young Mitch Duncan. Do you know? Fun fact: we do a reflections video on, like you did it yesterday at live show. Do you know when Juddy? Do you remember that goal when Juddy did the pick up and kicked it on his left?
Yeah.
Do you remember who he kicked to hurt his foot?
I'm going to guess it was Mitch Duncan, but
like a young little Mitch Duncan.
What year was that now?
2011.
Yeah, right. So Duncan's second year.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, was he a tagger back then at the start? No?
Okay. He'd always been kind of dropped into that kind of wingman sort of role, utilizing kind of the strengths that was his disposal. I don't think I've ever seen Mitch Duncan play hard defense in his career, to be honest. If there's one player I'm starting to notice gets a little bit more criticism than others within the Cats supporting community, it's Mitch Duncan. There's been a couple times where maybe the argument could be made. He's perhaps not gone as hard as he could have, whether it's back into a contest or whatever the case happens to be. And Geelong supporters have jumped on him a little bit. I think those supporters have maybe been a smidge too harsh. I would agree in some scenarios he's not gone as hard as he could have, but the bashing's been a bit excessive, I think. But he's an absolute jet. So
yeah, he's also a champion.
We'll cut a team to ribbons, and probably responsible for about 300 of Tom Hawkins' goals. Yeah,
Mitchy Duncan with Cripps and Akers, and then we've got Tom De Koning with Sam Walsh and Mark Blitzarves, and then with our forward line, we're going to go with
Cameron and Harry.
Cameron, Harry, and
Myers.
Cameron, Henry, and Myers with Stengel, Curnow,
and we put Hawkins on the field in the end because we put Henry on the bench.
And Hawkins. And then Hewitt, Boyd,
Bruin, and who did we say? What have we done? I'm looking through that list and nothing is jumping out at me.
Guys, what did we do? Chat, what did we do? We did Hewitt, Boyd, Bruin, and...
Bruin. Oh, my God. Oh, and Henry, because Henry got swapped out.
Oh, because Henry came for...
Henry got swapped in for Hawkins. Yeah.
Okay. With Dangerfield as our sub, fine. Cottrell can be our first emergency. Deal?
Yeah.
Great.
I can deal with
that. Laid out. Mitch Duncan, done a calf. Cottrell in.
Oh, sorry. I started quickly, frantically searching for some last minute post teams being announced news there.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. Cool. It's a good lineup.
So yeah,
it's a good lineup.
Wow, that's the toughest one I've done by far.
Yeah, there's it's one of those things I think with Geelong that, say what you want about their age, but obviously there's so many credits on the board that it kind of makes it hard in a a thing like this to kind of pick against some of them, regardless of where they're at in their age and stage.
Mm-hmm. Well, we didn't even mention Guthrie. Guthrie would make this team next time for sure.
Yeah, it'll be totally. I'll leave that one to Ben when the time comes. Ben can tag in for that one and see how he fares in the same scenario. But yeah, if he's managed to remain fit and has managed to recapture that 2022 form, it's a whole other conversation again.
Wow, yeah. We've got probably. I was saying just at the start of the stream, I would say. Definitely 8 blokes on the injury list that would play if they were fit this week. And then there's another 3 or 4 that are borderline. I'm talking about like a Jack Silvani, who you could argue he would definitely play, depending on who you talk to, like Dave Cunningham, these types. So once those blokes come in and we play next time, we'll see how that goes.
Good luck, Ben. I know you're watching, Ben. Good luck.
So how does the game play out? What are we about to see? Are we about to see another shootout between Charlie and Jez?
Look, it'll be an interesting one. If we do see a bit of a shootout, it will be interesting to see how Charlie and Harry kind of stack up. I would say Sam de Koning was in a pretty rough place at the time when we played you guys last year. He's not in that way now. I think he's very close to kind of again finding that 2022 form as well. So that will be like, I think what happens in the Carlton forward 50, I think will be the most interesting part. I think you can probably count on Hawkins to kick 1 to 2. I think given that Wiedering's his opponent, I don't think he'll get off the chain anyway, but I think he'll get 1 or 2. God knows how many he sets up afterwards. Cameron, I think you've already flagged it. Cameron's, I think, probably the real worry for you guys and what he can do.
We'll have Lewis Young playing on him, I would have thought. And I mean, round 2 last year was the same matchup, and Lewis did his very best, and Cameron still kicked. Was it 6?
Yeah, I think it was 6 at least. Yeah,
with 20 odd possessions. Like, we're not stopping Cameron. It's just not happening. He's too good. He's just too good. Not many can stop him, particularly at the MCG in a blockbuster like this. So, that's probably going to be the matchup from our point of view. Wiedering on Hawkins and Lewis Young on Cameron. Who goes to Charlie and Harry? How do you split that?
I think Sam probably has to go to Charlie.
Okay.
I think Geelong will be more, especially because of our defensive structures and what we've done over the years. I think Geelong will be a little more okay with Harry moving his way up the field than Carlton will be with Jeremy Cameron just going wherever he wants. So I think Sam probably as our number 1 key defender at the moment has to go to, I think, the number 1 forward who's more inclined to stay at home than Harry is.
Mm-hmm.
While Jack Henry lets Harry maybe drift up the ground from time to time, but catches him the other way. I think Harry's less of a threat going the other way than Jeremy Cameron is, I guess, if I'm trying to, posit that kind of comparison.
So Jack Henry would play on Harry?
Jack Henry would play on Harry, but maybe be more inclined to let him go as opposed to what Lewis can afford to do with Cameron.
Yeah. I didn't realize Jack Henry was that big. He's 190. Well, I mean, Google says he's 194.
Yeah. He's not your tall key defender, but He's done a fantastic job over the years. It's really about it's the team defense thing that really gets us by, because we don't have outside of Sam De Koning, we don't have that really tall defender. What we're kind of banking on, I think, in a game like this is for Jack will probably let Harry creep up the ground a little bit. Okay, whatever, junk time disposals up, not junk time, but you know what I mean. Less important for Carlton for him to be having his disposals up the ground. But then as he comes the other way, you'll be expecting that Jack will be right there to meet him. But hopefully along the way, he's picked up like a Blitzarves or a Reece Stanley coming the other way to kind of offset that height differential. I don't know. There's a bit of me thinking the Blitzarves might be a little bit caught up with Cripper this weekend. That's kind of where my head's going when it comes to those two, and that's just a really exciting matchup because they're both kind of those freaks when it comes to their physique and what they can do, the height, yet the ability to play like smalls. That's gonna be a really fascinating matchup. But so Blitzarves might have his work to do, but I can see Reece Stanley kind of drifting in as that that little bit of extra support to keep Harry under wraps.
Okay, yeah.
Let alone what Zach Guthrie and those sort of guys do as kind of floating in or spoiling over the top. Jake Cole-Jasney's still got height for him as well.
The other thing you might see on Saturday, we've done it a few times this year. Sometimes Charlie might have 15 minutes where ball's not coming in. We start putting him behind the ball. I don't know.
I have seen a bit of that.
Yeah. So I wonder if we see that. I do remember round 2 last year in the dying minutes, I think Harry Mackay might have taken 3 marks in 3 consecutive contests to sort of ice the game. That's just all I remember from round 2.
No, I do recall that too.
I can't see this being anything. To be honest, I think it's going to be a 1-kick game. I think it's going to be that evenly matched.
I kind of had Cats by 2 goals in my head.
Okay.
But, I feel like even despite saying that, I feel like it's a coin flip. I think it's probably just as you kind of touch on with your own comments earlier, the little bit of personal bias that tips at the 51-49 sort of split tips it Geelong's way. But I could just as easily see things going the other way as well. The injury list, obviously, for Carlton is a big factor.
Yeah.
We are only missing Tom Stewart from our starting 23 at this point. The rest is all just down to management and those sort of things. So it's a good place for us to be in. There's a bit of me that still, we've spoken about Cam Guthrie a bit. There's a bit of me still wondering whether he's not, it's not Geelong's typical fun and games pre-game that maybe he's he's not quite ready.
Do they do that? Is that something that Geelong do? Are you known to do that?
I don't think it's necessarily like a fun and games, like we're trying to tactically mess around with the opposition's planning. I just think they are so pedantic about the management of players that if there's anything right down to the last minute they're not happy with, boom, out you come.
Okay.
I like the theatrics of us kind of messing around with the opposition and just kind of teasing and annoying supporters with it. But I think it's really just down to that management and how they've got their standards. And if the player doesn't meet that standard for whatever reason, get them back out again because we don't want to take a risk.
Well, because we in the Carlton world, Tuesday night is also known as meltdown night. Injury report comes and it's a complete meltdown, and it's sack the strength and conditioning department. They're done. Having done this exercise with you and learned a little bit more about the management that Geelong do, this is the first time I've seen something from another club where I think, maybe that's something we should start thinking about doing.
Look, I do think a bit of it comes from the luxury of us having been the team that we've been for 20 years now. Starting 2004, we've basically been a force the entire time. We've pinched 4 premierships along the way. I think it gives you a little bit of scope to kind of set that bar really high for what your expectations are in terms of the management and the physical preparedness of players. And not because they're slacking off, but if their body's just not quite right, don't take the risk. It's not worth it.
Right.
For one game.
Yeah.
The possibility of ripping your hamstring again or whatever it happens to be, especially now that we're in this 6-0 position as well. That gives, puts us in a real position of strength to back out if something's just not quite right. If you're not 100% on board that the player's okay, pull them.
Wow. Okay. We both think our clubs will win, obviously, so I won't get that out there again. But why don't we both give a predicted storyline of the game? Like I don't know whether it's a matchup or just something that comes out of this game that you think will be a feature.
O'Connor keeps Walsh to less than 20.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or 20 or less. We'll say 20 or less.
Oh, wow.
Not to say he's ineffective with those 20, but I think like the actual amount of possession will drop. He'll be playing that tag and roll pretty thoroughly, I reckon.
Okay. I will say the profit is delivered to the Blues on Passover, and Elijah Hollins kicks 3 goals with 20 plus possessions in a Blues thriller.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It'd be a fascinating story for sure.
Yeah.
I've already had a couple of start to clap back on my Sam Walsh call. And look, I could just as easily see him get 32 as I could see him get 20 or less. The thing about him is like he's so dangerous with those. Even if he gets 20, he could still take a game away from an opposition. So
he's definitely added that to
he's
his
going to have a
game.
bad game, but it'll just be the actual just sheer number of possessions might be down.
Yeah, no, he's definitely added that to his game. I think one of the criticisms was that he was an accumulator, not so much damaging, which I think was a bit
I think that's wrong.
Misguided, but particularly in his first 2 games this year, he has been like a surgeon. I think the other thing as well, I think Harry, with that height difference, I think he will help Carlton a lot with our territory game, marking around the ground, letting us set up again. But I think that was a bit too obvious of a call, so I wanted to go a little bit left of center.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Before I let you go, tell the audience about the Hoops crew. I mean, I'm sure most who are here have seen, but what do we need to...
Hopefully everyone has. Yeah, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff. There's about 5 of us these days doing some stuff on the Hoops channel. It used to be just myself and Ben under the Hoops. Oh, geez, I'm so out of touch with my old name. It's just the Hoops show. It was just the 2 of us for a while there, but we brought in another group of guys that were doing some amazing stuff. The Chaps Chat Cats is what their platform was. We brought them on board. There's a crew of us now, 5. We're doing there's daily content there, whether it's match previews and reviews. The Chaps do an amazing job, in particular focusing on a lot of the VFL action and what's going on there in the seconds. So they do some amazing content there. Have amazing guests come on my show Behind the Play, such as yourself. We've got our live match, post-match streams and all sorts of awesome things there for people to go check out as well. So feel free to swing by and give it a look. I know it may not necessarily for the majority of the audience here be your preferred team, but we try to keep things as balanced as possible. I think everyone probably in content creation around football tries to say that they keep things balanced and a bit neutral, but there's always going to be that hint of bias that comes out. We try and do so with respect, though.
Yeah, of course. No, I will definitely call into the post-game show after the fan cams here. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us your time. And
no worries, man.
I'm not going to say good luck this week. Good luck for the rest of the year. Just enjoy a rest this week.
Well, we'll meet again in about 8 weeks. So
yeah. We'll see you then. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on board, and everyone in the chat. Thanks for not tearing strips off me. I much appreciate it.
All right, mate. Enjoy. Good night, mate.
See you guys.
What a great guy. That was fun. That was a really interesting combined 23. There's a lot of talk about a 3 tall forward line, but a 4 tall forward line, that would be... Yeah, that'd be crazy. I think Port Adelaide are the only team I'm thinking of right now where they kind of do that. They do Marshall, they do Dixon, Georgiades. No, they've only got 3. Maz, we are a bit biased here. We are. That's just who we are. John, yeah, he is a class act. They are a class act. He and Ben have created a really nice platform there for the Geelong side of things, and just another good professional fan channel out there for footy content for footy fans out there. So yeah, we'll see them again. It's kind of weird that we play them in 8 weeks again without playing other teams. I know that we play St Kilda in the last game of the season, but it is what it is. That's the fixture, guys. That is the team show for round 7 2024. Get your asses to the MCG, go crazy. It's going to be heaps of fun. I can't believe we're now here where we're playing in, top 4 clashes in, you know, blockbuster games at the MCG, and like we're right in the thick of it. And there's no doubt about our credentials. I think in the past there has been, for sure. And now we're just in the thick of that. We're in the thick of experiencing, yeah, Damien, spot on. The real stuff starts now. Like we're playing against the best teams in the comp. We are one of the best teams in the comp so far. And that's really exciting. I've not experienced that a lot before. So we'll see what happens. Thanks again to our sponsors of the team show, Mr. Cabinets. Fun fact, they are doing all the work for the block. If you need anything done for your house, anything like that, just head to, well, you've got their Instagram page linked to the live chat. You've also got their website. If you want to know a little bit more about what they do, I'll put that in here in the chat. I don't know if any of you are currently doing renovations or anything like that, but give Derek some love, get around them. Also, if you haven't yet entered, one more reminder, if you haven't yet entered the raffle, we're doing the raffle on Monday for all the Blue Abroad items, the 6 spins. We're going to be doing that Monday night about 8 p.m. Blue Abroad show will start at 7, and then we'll do the spinning of the wheel at 8 p.m. at the very end. If you haven't yet got your ticket to the raffle, make sure you get your ticket to the raffle. I'll put that link in here as well. Hang on a minute. Make the logo bigger. I can make the logo bigger, I think. I'll have to do it next week. Here we go. Let's have a look. My bets. There you go. Petra, refreshing to see the players committed and pushing in the same direction. Keep it going. Yes, spot on. Spot on. There's your link there for the raffle. Hit that. Get your ticket. Be part of the fun on Monday. Otherwise, may the best team win. Thank you, M King. Good luck for how about this? No injuries this Saturday. I don't want you guys to have good luck this week. I want the ball to bounce our way this week. And we'll see you down the track. Maybe a couple of times. Who knows? Otherwise, guys, have a great night. Enjoy the footy. Hopefully another draw. And go Blues.